Now 3 lawsuits filed against Illinois' gun ban and registry. Good morning. It is Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk. You can tune in here each and every weekday morning from 6 to 9, not just on WMAY, broadcasting across Central Illinois on 92.7 FM, but also we do live streams on YouTube and Facebook and even Twitter, where you can follow me, Bishop on Air. All one word. Search it on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. You'll be able to find it and connect with us that way. Tons to get to this hour. We'll talk with, of course, the various players that are involved in litigation against the states over the state's gun ban that's now in effect. That conversation we'll have, I had these conversations yesterday with Ed Sullivan from the State Rifle Association, Dan Eldridge from Federal Firearms Licensees of Illinois, Tom DeVore filing a lawsuit yesterday, and also another lawsuit that was filed in state courts yesterday from Thomas Maag out of Clinton County. So we'll get to those. Crawford County. Just make sure that we're correct there. So 3 different lawsuits filed yesterday. One more expected, if not even more litigation expected to go up against the gun ban and registry. So we'll hear about the 2 cases that were filed in state court coming up. But the news overnight is that the Illinois State Rifle Association filed the first federal lawsuit against Illinois' gun ban. So remember, January 10th, Governor J.B. Pritzker, he signed the ban into law that says that no future sales of certain semi-automatic weapons that they defined as assault weapons. So that prohibition is in effect. And there was also a prohibition that was approved, now in effect, of magazines that have more than 10 rounds for long guns and more than 15 rounds for handguns. Now, guns are already in possession. They have to be registered with state police by January 1st. If you don't register them and you're found with them, then you could face a Class 2 felony. For the magazines, there's no registration. Magazines already in possession before January 10th are grandfathered in, but if you're found with magazines of more than 10 rounds for long rifles or more than 15 rounds for handguns, then it could be a petty offense with a $1,000 fine per offense. So the governor signed that on January 10th. Late yesterday, I got the news release while I was sleeping about 10:30 at night. The Illinois State Rifle Association announced their challenge against the governor, the Attorney General of Illinois, Illinois State Police Director Brendan Kelly, and state's attorneys from sheriffs and several counties. Now, the quote here from the State Rifle Association's Executive Director Richard Pearson is that Governor Pritzker and the legislators who voted for this law did this for self-serving political purposes and not upholding the United States Constitution. The Second Amendment is fundamentally about self-defense, and the 14th Amendment is about not having our rights infringed. The new law makes criminals out of law-abiding citizens, Pearson said. So other plaintiffs joining ISRA include the St. Clair County resident, 2 gun stores, the Second Amendment Foundation, and the Firearms Policy Council. And the challenge sees a court declaration, looking for that court declaration to essentially ban commonly possessed semi-automatic firearms and ammunition magazines, saying that ban violates the Second Amendment. So that's what they're seeking. They're seeking a court's declaration that this ban violates the Second Amendment. And also you've got other declarations they're looking for as well. So that's the latest on the Illinois State Rifle Association's federal lawsuit that was filed. And that is now in court in the Southern District of Illinois. And we'll likely hear a lot more about this lawsuit. But there were other lawsuits that were filed yesterday as well against Illinois' gun ban. One of them was out of Crawford County, and I talked to the attorney there, Thomas Maag, and he filed that on behalf of several Illinois residents. And this is how that conversation went yesterday when I chatted with Thomas Maag about just an overview of what his case entails. Here he is sharing some of the details with me when I connected with him yesterday, following him filing this lawsuit in state courts.
This is on file in the Circuit Court of Crawford County, which is in southern Illinois, near the Indiana border. Case challenges on Second Amendment, Fifth Amendment, and 14th Amendment grounds the recent purported assault weapons and magazine ban signed by the governor last week. The bottom line is that we believe that the registration requirements are unconstitutional under the 5th and 14th Amendments, as explained by the U.S. Supreme Court nearly 50 years ago in U.S. v. Haney's, that we believe that the firearm and magazine bans are broadly unconstitutional under the Second and 14th Amendments, as explained by the U.S. Supreme Court last year in New York State Rifle and Pistol Association v. Bruin, and that, quite frankly, a significant portion of the statute is so vague, is not only can lay people not understand it, we don't think experts can understand it.
So that's Thomas Maag, conversation I had with him yesterday, giving an overview of the case that he filed in Crawford County. And I asked him why put this into state court, not federal court. But first, I wanted him to go into a little bit more detail about the Fifth Amendment challenge here. And I've thought about this myself. Of course, the Second Amendment's right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And the Second Amendment's also including the a well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. But the Fifth Amendment is the amendment that makes sure you are not compelled to speak that could possibly incriminate you. So it's the right to remain silent, essentially. That's what the Fifth Amendment stands for. And he's filing this lawsuit in part saying that the gun ban and registry violates the Fifth Amendment. Thomas Maag.
Very simple. Under the original National Firearms Act of 1934, persons were required to register certain firearms with the federal government. But in doing so, they had to admit that they were possessing unregistered firearms that were so regulated. Under this state statute, they have deemed by this statute possession of certain firearms unlawful and then purported to require them to be registered, apparently effective at the end of this year. But by doing so, they're requiring you to fill out a form under oath admitting that you possess these firearms that they have declared unlawful. You have a right to remain silent and not incriminate yourself. I mean, it's very clear that the whole purpose of this is to allow law enforcement agencies to go after people and say, aha, we caught you, and use that as evidence against them. That self-incrimination violates the Fifth and 14th Amendments.
So again, this is Thomas Maag. He filed the first state lawsuit against the gun ban in Crawford County yesterday, and I was able to connect with him briefly to talk about the case, the various elements he's alleging the gun ban violates, including the Second, Fifth, and 14th Amendments. But why state court over federal court? That's another question I asked, because you've got this possibility of filing in state court, and it could go to the Illinois Supreme Court, or filing in federal court, which could go all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. Again, Thomas Maag.
I'm certain there will probably be several other cases filed. Why state court, not federal court? Well, if the state wants to remove it to federal court, they can remove it to federal court. That's their prerogative. Why did we file it in state court? Because we think the courts of the people of the state of Illinois should tell the state of Illinois they've gone too far. So
again, that's Thomas Maag. He filed the first state-level lawsuit. Coming up, we'll hear from Thomas DeVore, who filed the second state-level lawsuit on different grounds and includes over 160 different plaintiffs in DeVore's case. So multiple lawsuits filed yesterday against Illinois' gun ban. We've got much more to get to this hour here on WMAY. Stay tuned. I'm Greg Bishop. Follow along, Bishop on Air, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or just email me, Bishop on Air, and we can connect.